If you are raped, you have a duty to report it in a timely manner. Not 30 years after the fact. No one deserves to get raped. And the people who do the rape deserve long prison sentences or death. I do believe that rapes need to be reported to police as soon as the victim can do so safely. It's a citizen's duty to report a crime. It is the only way the justice system can work properly. If all these incidents we hear about in the news were reported back when they occurred, I think we would see a lot better punishment of the offenders. If your house gets broken into, you report it. If you witness a murder or someone tries to kill you, you would report it. How would it look if I came to the police 30 years later and say John Doe broke into my house and stole $1,000 back in 1990, he should be arrested. Edit, this was a surprisingly civil conversation. I get my opinion is still pretty unpopular and that's cool. I have some opposing viewpoints to consider. I'm sure a lot of people here think I'm a terrible person and that's okay too. Just glad we got a decent conversation going about a terrible, but important topic. I just wanna say, I'm a male who was raped, and it is so hard to do that. Everybody made me feel horrible about it, on top of the mental problems of being raped. Cops mocked me because I didn't defend myself even though when it happened I froze because I thought if I said anything I would die. It was so hard for me, I spent crying days non-stop, and it didn't help that I had to spend 8 hours reporting the crime, waiting next to the person who raped me, and I had to lose so many classes to tell my story over and over. I only got the strength to report it because I didn't want anyone else to feel the way I did, but it was so hard and mental scarring. Your initial argument makes sense, is sound, and holds a valid perspective. But it's hard to do your civic duty when as a victim 9 times out of 10, it bites you in the ass first. If we can work on the social aspect of this issue, then many improvements could be made in this area. A really good show, that is based on a true story, to watch is Unbelievable, https://www. Netflix.com/title/80153467. It talks about a series of rapes in a town. One of the women who was raped wasn't believed due to the mental issues she was having, the aggressive actions by the cops and lack of people believing her. She ended up double backing on her claims since no one was even taking her seriously. Again, based on a true story that happens to many women when they even attempt to claim that someone raped them. We now live in an age where technology makes it easier to find out if a rape happened, but can you imagine 30 years ago where the only thing to prove a rape happened is your story and maybe some witnesses? Doesn't help when the rape is from someone who has the power to make no one believe you and to ruin what little you have. Can you imagine a big star raping you? You want to let people know and they start threatening you with legal actions, long legal battles, suing for defamation, etc. Yet it may have happened but you have no evidence and definitely don't have the money to get a proper lawyer to help. What's best for you at this time though, to lose more from that rape or keep it to yourself and try to forget? Even though 30 years later there is still a lack of evidence, you still have the story of what happened. You don't have to be silent anymore since you have an audience that is willing to listen. Problem is they may be lying about it but it's still their story to let others know about. Whether you believe them or not isn't really important. For others, you can read the true story here, an unbelievable story of rape, https://www. ProPublica.org/article/false rape accusations an unbelievable story. In Alaska there have been 480 cases of rape. None of the cases were ever opened, or even taken seriously for that matter. A lot of the girls were minors too. The FBI is now involved. Less than 13% of rape cases result in any charges. So basically you're embarrassing yourself and your family and further exposing yourself for nothing. Rape is not as simple as you're making it sound. A lot of people don't immediately want to make it known or take action when they were raped because it's humiliating. I was raped by 2 friends when I was 18. I never told anyone because they were 2 popular guys at my school and I did not want it getting around that I had sex with them. No one would believe I was raped because the argument would have been, well, you shouldn't have hung out with them in first place. I literally completely forgot about it until I had hypnotherapy and remembered it 8 years later. Now I don't want justice, I just want to heal the damage it's done subconsciously to me and the PTSD I've been living with since then. I was 19 and still in training for the U.S. Army. I reported it to my chain of command and it went up the line. I was ridiculed, mocked, degraded in front of all of my peers, about 80 people. I was put on a stage and called a liar, slut, whore, and asked what I was wearing when it happened. I was told that no female ever gets raped, they all want it, and I must have wanted it to happen. I was given extra duty, so I worked from sun up until sundown. I was threatened with not graduating 8th. My rapist was never investigated, but instead I got an Article 15 for it. I was taught in that situation that reporting was a waste of time and even worse. I didn't speak about the incident again until I was 35. How do you honestly think it would have turned out in the 70s or 80s when reporting it meant asking people to believe a 15-year-old boy's word v. the word of a priest? Conservative estimates indicate there are 200,000 to 400,000 untested rape kits in U.S. police departments, and large stockpiles of kits have been documented in over 5 dozen jurisdictions, sometimes totaling more than 10,000 untested rape kits in a single city. 6. The Federal DNA Initiative has helped state as well as local governments to increase the ability of their DNA laboratories and decrease backlogs. 34. From Wikipedia, there are citations for anyone interested. Some of those kits are destroyed before the statute of limitations is up, depending on jurisdiction policy. My friend's was destroyed after 6 months. She was also discouraged from reporting by a police officer, BC she didn't know the attacker, he wore a ski mask, and they'd never ID him, they didn't. She was severely beaten, and hospitalized for 4 days. And this was a stranger. I understand not reporting if it is someone you know and may suffer emotional and social repercussions from. I volunteered with an organization that lent support to rape victims, male and female, during trial, and it's tough. The victims are put under a microscope: who they dated, what they wore, their religious beliefs, why they walked home, where they live, if they had a drink, every conversation. One had her diary read. A man had his masturbation habits asked about, and was told to answer. It's a lot to process after going through an intensive physical and emotional trauma. In a perfect world, reporting immediately would be easy. It's not a perfect world.